This is a story of Disney's horrifying secrets and what really lurks beneath the magic. Ryan was so excited when he found out he landed the job at Disney World. He thought he would be working at the happiest place on the entire earth. But little did he know, this job would leave him scarred for the rest of his life. It was a regular day, nothing out of the ordinary, until he got a call on one of the service phones.
Hello,
He
Disney.
didn't even get to finish before he was cut off by an angry woman.
Yeah, what is up with the new additions? It scared the hell out of my kids.
He told her that they hadn't made any new additions in quite some time, and he asked her to clarify on the issue.
The fish robot animatronic got way too close to the boat. It almost hurt my kid.
He had no clue what she was talking about. There weren't supposed to be any fish animatronics in the entire park. He called his supervisor over the walkie-talkie, and he told him what the woman had said. His manager's tone instantly changed.
Meet me in the break room ASAP. Don't talk to anyone on the way here. Got it?
Ryan hung up and made his way towards the break room. To his surprise, his manager was already waiting for him when he got there. He pulled Ryan into the break room and shut the door behind him.
I got approached by a few guys today and they told me they saw what looked like a mermaid near the ride. I just assumed they were crazy or high. But if someone else saw it, we need to tell the ride runners.
He followed his manager down the hall as they headed towards the inner tunnels that led to the mechanical rooms for the rides. When all of a sudden, a woman sprinted out of the exit, sobbing her eyes out. They quickly brought her to the break room and asked her what was wrong.
I saw something pass underneath the boat. It looked like a fish, mixed with a person. My kids saw it too.
Now, the water in this ride is not very deep at all, so what she described next sounded completely absurd.
It had huge eyes, no nose, and a gaping mouth. And I think I even saw gills.
What colors were the scales?
The manager asked.
No, it didn't have scales. It was flesh.
Within 5 minutes, that ride was completely shut down. Ryan didn't have high enough clearance to know what they were doing, but later on, his manager pulled him aside and told him what they had found.
They don't know what it was. All they found was a weird mound on top of one of the animatronic dogs. It almost looked like flesh.
Nothing else was found in the entire ride. A few days later, things seemed to have calmed down and everything felt like it was back to normal. Ryan was working in Hollywood studios, cleaning up and doing janitorial type work, when all of a sudden, he heard a family talking as they left the great movie ride.
Did you hear Kevin scream at the alien scene?
Shut up! The robot came so close to us. Did you see its eyes?
Now this was a red flag. Ryan assumed that they were talking about the xenomorph scene, but what they were saying didn't add up. So he grabbed his walkie and he called up his supervisor.
Hey, I just heard a family talking about some robot in one of the rides. We don't have a robot ride here, do we?
He asked.
What did it look like?
I don't know. Hold on.
Ryan immediately chased the family down and asked them what had happened.
Well, first, the slobber was disgusting. It got all over my nice sunglasses. A warning would have been nice.
Ryan asked her to explain the creature that she saw.
It looked like an ostrich human thingy. It was covered in flesh, had bent legs, arms in the shape of wings, and a really long neck.
Ryan began to feel uneasy. This creature should not exist in this park. He got away from the group as quickly as he could, and he immediately walkied up his supervisor. His supervisor said he would handle it and told him to get back to work. He stalled a bit doing his work, trying to keep an eye on the ride. Within minutes, a group of men who were higher ranking than him all showed up and began shutting the ride down completely. These high security workers went inside the ride and began looking around. Just then, 5 extra carts drove up to the ride, and 8 men holding medical masks and black briefcases all sprinted aside as fast as they could. Ryan was completely shocked by the urgency of these workers. They were breaking the #1 code rule of Disney employees, which is to never break the magic. They would never jeopardize the essence of magic for anything. Ryan knew that whatever was going on here, it was serious. Later that night, Ryan saw a supervisor in the break room. His manager began to explain what they had found.
There were little pieces of flesh scattered all around the Wizard of Oz scene. A sticky note attached to the witch's broom. 2 words were written on it. We're here.
The next week, tensions were high, and everything felt really weird among the cast members. Ryan began talking with the other employees, trying to pick their brains and to figure out what exactly was going on here. And that is when he started noticing that they were all saying the same thing.
I feel like I'm always being watched. It's weird.
I've been working here for over 10 years. This place used to feel like home to me, but lately, I don't even like being alone here.
He also began to notice that the secret security were being beefed up at every park. One day, he got to talking with one of the security that were down in the tunnels under Magic Kingdom. He told him,
I don't know much. They just told me that if I saw something suspicious, call the suits.
now, people that have worked at Disney know what the suits are. They're pretty much Disney's personal CIA. So basically, whenever there's like a high-level security threat, these suits are there to respond quickly and efficiently. And no matter what, they're always there, waiting behind the scenes, ready to go at any given moment. The last time Ryan was involved in one of these incidences was 2 days before he quit. He was on the nightly cleanup shift that night. All of the patrons had left the park, and he was all alone, cleaning up the mess that they left behind. He was nearly done with his shift when all of a sudden, he heard a quiet little voice.
Help, help, help.
He looked up and he saw that right at the entrance of the ride, a log was in the water and somebody was sitting in the front row. The lights were completely off. He reached for his flashlight, but he noticed it wasn't there. He could barely see who was sitting on the ride. All he could make out was the outline of their body. He was completely freaked out.
Hey, the ride is closed. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave, please.
The minute the words left his mouth, he regretted ever saying anything. All he could see was the figure shift positions. Whoever it was getting out of the log. As the person exited the ride, he began to feel panicked. He reached for his flashlight again, and all of a sudden, it was there. He quickly put the beam on the thing as fast as he could, and what he saw still haunts him to this very day. On the platform was this monstrosity on all fours in a crab walk formation, but its head was straight up. He tried screaming, but nothing came out. All he could do was stare. The creature had the eyes of a human, but the nose of a rabbit. And it wasn't covered in fur or clothing, it was completely covered in bare flesh. The creature snapped its neck, setting its gaze directly at Ryan. And once it locked eyes with him, it started advancing towards him in an awkward, jerky type motion. Ryan began sprinting towards the exit as fast as he could. As he grabbed the door, he looked behind him, fearing that the thing was right on his tail. Thankfully, whatever it was moving pretty slow. He threw open the door and slammed it behind him. He stood outside the entrance for about a minute. The entire time, he could not take his eyes off of that door. Soon enough, the suits pulled up. The men in the suits came charging in. To his surprise, one of them was actually holding a pistol. He had never seen anything like it before. After searching the entire ride, they had found another sticky note. This one was taped to one of the vultures right before the big drop. It read,
We're not leaving.
That night, they let Ryan stay in one of the nicest rooms in one of the top hotels. They gave him the next day off and told him to get some rest and to collect himself before returning to work. Throughout the day, people came up to the room and they asked him about what he had seen. He would always tell them the truth with no resistance. But whenever he started asking them questions, they all seemed to completely clam up, and they would quickly end the questioning and leave the room as fast as they could. Now this irritated Ryan to no end. The next night, he could barely sleep. He just kept tossing and turning, thinking back to that thing, wondering, what in the world could it be? And why would nobody tell him what it was or anything about it? That's when he decided he's had enough. He's not working for a company that leaves him high and dry and leaves him in the dark about something this serious and this messed up. He quit the following day. He was really surprised by the way that the company reacted too. They completely cut off all ties with him, refusing to speak with him about what had happened or the creatures or anything like that. As days turned into weeks, Ryan thought about one thing, those creatures. He could not get those creatures off his mind. It was driving him insane. To this day, he has no idea what those creatures are, and he has no explanation as to what he saw. But be aware, Disney is a much more powerful corporation than anybody could ever know. And with all things light, there's an equal darkness lurking around every corner. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this one. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like and share it with a friend. And don't forget to hit that notification bell because I have a lot more awesome stories like this on the way. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.